Hey, what's up? This is the first episode of the Skull Mug that I've done in quite a while. I'm sorry for the echo that's going on in this room. Just so you know, this is my old roommate's room. I'm recording in like a different space. It's still in the same apartment, just a different room. And he only recently moved out. We haven't really got this space set up yet for what it's going to be. Ergo, there isn't really any kind of like soundproofing stuff on the walls. There's no decoration. It's literally just white. And my computer desk is like behind the camera. Like that's literally everything that's in here. But on this episode, considering it's the first time that we've done one of these in a while, I'm going to be drinking a beer that I've had in my fridge for a very, very long time. It's called Andy's Red. As you can see, it's got the jolly old fucking, what do they call it? The Jack? The English Jack or whatever? Yeah. Got that on there. It's 4.9%. It's a red. On the back it says, English Andy loves Canada, but still has a powerful thirst for the beers of his youth. When he captained a riverboat on the Thames, crafted to rival the finest of Britain's legendary ales, Andy's Red is a tribute to England that you're sure to enjoy. Well, I certainly hope that I do enjoy it. Let's crack this open here. Got the titular mug from this series, and let's pour it. Once again, I am still not all that great at pouring. Trying to get better. Still, it's a process. Just fucking cut me some slack, okay? That's tasty. That's good. Alright, now that most of the foam is gone, pour a little bit more actual liquid into this fucking thing. So what do I want to talk to you guys about today? Well, I want to talk to you about this room. The reason I want to talk to you about this room is because, as I stated, this room was the place where my old roommate was living. I'm not going to mention them by name because I don't want to. I don't want to be that kind of person to potentially drag them into something that they don't want to be part of. It's fine. I'm just gonna lay out exactly the fucking situation that we had here because I think it's ridiculous and worth chronicling. So when we first moved in here, it was me and my girlfriend and two of our friends. Okay, so both people from Newfoundland, people who I know. They ended up moving out towards the end of last year, and we had to find two new roommates to fill those positions. Basically, me and my girlfriend share one room, of course, and then there's these other two rooms, the one that I'm in here and the one that's over there on the other side of this wall behind the camera, and they were filled up by our friends, so we had to fill up these two rooms. We wanted to keep the rent the same price, of course, and we wanted to because, hey, we're all working class individuals here. We just want to pay our rent, pay our bills, get things on the level like that, if you know what I mean. So we put out an ad, we find two guys. Now one of them, one of the best roommates I've ever fucking had. This guy is super polite, very, very friendly, loves to hang out with us. You know, we have like friends over and we'll have like a movie night and stuff. We'll have little parties here and there. With the same group of people, of course. I know we're still in the pandemic, so we keep things within a bubble. But he's very, very amicable to our way of living. I think he's a close friend of mine at this point because, we see each other almost every single day and we like to hang out on the weekends and have a beer together. So what else, do you call that other than a friend, right? The other guy, on the other hand, when he first moved in, things seemed like they were fine. We were kind of like, okay, this guy seems like he's in the same lane as us in regards to politics. Seems like he believes the same things, is into some of the same things that we are. Maybe things will be okay. You know, like he's very, very leftist, very progressive, shares a lot of our same viewpoints. Like, you know, maybe things will work out. Within a few months, we kind of realized that things were not going the way that we had hoped. I don't even know where to begin with this shit, okay? So, I guess I'll just go room by room and explain all of the weird, disruptive, asshole-ish things that he did. Because every single room in this house, with the exception of like my bedroom and our other roommate's bedroom, has something associated with him that was fucked up. So we'll start in the kitchen because I think that's where most of the problems occurred. When you think of a bad roommate, what's the first thing that comes to mind? They don't do the dishes, right? I mean, that's obvious. So yeah, he never cleaned up after himself. Well, okay, that's a bit of a stretch. He did occasionally clean up after himself, but it felt like more often than not, he would just leave dishes piled in the sink, and we would have to like tell him, hey, can you go do your fucking dishes? But more often than not, I got sick of doing that at a point, so I ended up cleaning up after him like 90% of the time, either myself or our other roommate. So that was super fucking irritating. But on top of that, he would leave like rotting food in the sink, or he would just leave food out that he had already cooked, like on the surface of the oven or on the countertop, and he would leave it there for like sometimes days on end. And it started to attract fruit flies in the middle of winter, which isn't normal. Like, you're not supposed to get fruit flies in the middle of winter. So, you know, we addressed this multiple times. We actually had a sit-down meeting saying, hey, can you stop like leaving your rotting food out on the countertop? Can you clean up after yourself? And he was like, oh yeah, sure, like we'll totally do it. And then he would do it for like a couple days and then just go right back to his old habits. So that was bullshit. Also, there came a point where he had put so much like food, literal actual food, down into the sink, into the drain, that it clogged up our drain pipe, and I had to actually call a plumber to come and get it fixed. Now, thankfully, the plumber was done on the landlord's dime, so it's not something I had to pay for, but it's still fucked up that this person thought, hey, you can just like stuff food down the drain and it just disappears. Like, no, it goes down the drain and then it fucking stays there and gets clogged. And then when you try to run water, it fucking clogs up the sink, so your sink is like, you know, filling up with water as the faucet is going. So like, he clearly didn't understand that. He had a rice cooker or some kind of pressure cooker thing that he always kept plugged in. So like, that consumed, of course, a lot of electricity and caused our power bill to go up. And he would always leave it full of food. Like, he would cook a shit ton of rice and then just leave it there for like days on end, to the point where it would actually start to smell. And like, that was disgusting. There was a point where he tried to feed us food that he had left on the table for days. And when he fed it to us, he like gave it to us, and then he went upstairs, and we opened it and looked at it and realized that it was covered in green mold underneath, where like you couldn't see it. So that was also a huge piss off. There was also the fact that he just like really hogged so much space in our kitchen. So like, in our kitchen we have the fridge, we have one set of cupboards on the left side of the sink, one set of cupboards on the right side of the sink, and then we have another pantry that's like on the opposite wall, okay? Now, the pantry itself has 5 shelves, so of course with 4 roommates, that's 1, 2, 3, 4, and then the 5th one we used for our barbecue gear, so like charcoal, the little wood chips that you put into a barbecue to kind of give the food a little bit of flavor, and as well as the implements, so you know, the scraper that you use to clean the barbecue off after, and like a huge spatula and a pair of tongs, like all that kind of stuff. But this motherfucker used up so much space. So like, he took over like, I'd be willing to say like 50% of the cupboard spaces for one person, which with 4 people in a house, that doesn't connect, right? That doesn't logically jive. So we were really upset about that. Then, what else happened? I guess that's most of the stuff that happened with the kitchen. So I guess we can move on to the bathroom now. This motherfucker, I've never met a person who spends so much time in the bathroom just taking a shit. Like, he would go in the bathroom, sit down, start shitting, and like, he would be in there for literally like an hour and a half just sitting on the toilet on his phone. Like, you know, you'd hear him like in there fucking listening to music, like watching videos while taking a shit. And it's like, how long does it take to take a shit? Like, I'm a human. I'm assuming if you're watching this, you're probably a human as well. Do you end up sitting on the toilet for an hour when you take a shit? Not usually. I mean, even before I was vegan, when like, you know, I used to eat quite a bit of meat and like quite a bit of fast food from places like McDonald's and Subway, whatever, like Mary Brown's, of course, being in Newfoundland. Even when I had particularly bad shits, I would never be in the bathroom for longer than half an hour. Like, half an hour was like a long time to be in there. This motherfucker, hour, sometimes an hour and a half. Like, I don't understand. Well, of course, I do kind of understand, because all he ever ate was smoothies. It seemed like this guy, all he ever did was eat smoothies, rice, and like occasionally he would cook something on the oven, but more often than not, like, we hear him at like 2 a.m. downstairs revving up the fucking blender. Meanwhile, me and my partner and our other roommate are trying to fucking go to sleep because we all either have work or class the next morning. Like, I wake up at 6 a.m. to go to my job. This guy's down there making a fucking racket with our blender at 2 o'clock in the morning. So that was a huge fucking piss off. And then of course he'd go and take a shit, and he'd be in there for like hours because his digestive system, like, it was basically like shitting piss, you know, more or less. And like, I know that because I often go in there afterwards, with, you know, waiting for this long. You know, I gotta piss too. I'm a human. I gotta go in, I gotta piss, I gotta shit, I gotta shower, all this different stuff. Go in, look at the toilet. Sometimes this guy didn't even flush the fucking toilet. Sometimes you'd go in there, you'd look down, there would be like runny fucking feces in the toilet bowl. Sorry, I should have put a disclaimer before this video that I was going to get into some disgusting shit, so I apologize for that. But just to cap off that statement, he was fucking gross. But beyond that, he also used to take obscenely long showers. He would use up all our hot water sometimes. And there were times where, like, there was an instance where he like shaved. He shaved like his beard, and he left all of his beard clippings. Like, I'm not talking about like, you know, a few little hairs. I'm talking about like handfuls, like chunks of hair, just in the sink. There were other times when I saw him. I watched him do this. I saw him clip his nails and just leave the fingernails in the sink. Who fucking does that? Does anyone understand how disgusting that is? Like, I realize that it's just fingernails and it's just hair. Like, it's not actually that disgusting. It's just fucking keratin. But I don't want to have to deal with somebody else's fucking bodily clippings, you know? I also saw him shave his body, like his chest hair, into the sink, and like, he only ever cleaned it up sometimes. You know, other times he would just leave it for somebody else. Like, it was just so rude and so objectively bad and terrible, and like not something that you do when you're living in a house with 3 other fucking people. I don't understand how this guy thought that this was any shade of okay. I think that might have been it for the bathroom stuff. So we'll go on to the living room now, because we live in a 2-floor apartment, right? Like, the 3 bedrooms are upstairs. There's a little bit of a hallway out here that goes out to the main road, and then downstairs is the kitchen, bathroom, and living room. Now, the living room, ideally, is supposed to be a shared space, right? That's why it's called the living room and or the family room, because that's where everybody goes to hang out. Now, our living room has a door that you can close, so it could actually technically be used as a 4th bedroom if you wanted. But we don't do that. We decided to keep it as a shared space. So, you know, we have like a couch down there, we have multiple chairs, we have an entertainment center with a TV on it, like an Xbox 360 and like some other gaming stuff. And we also have a bunch of music gear down there too, obviously. Me being a musician, my partner being a musician as well. We keep our guitars and like our bass and even a drum set down there, though the drum set is not set up. We live in an apartment building. We don't have that luxury of being able to set up our drum set and play it here. That would, it'd be awesome if we could, but we can't, unfortunately. So the living room is probably the biggest point of contention, because there came a point sometime earlier this year, I don't remember exactly when it happened, but he fucking invited his boyfriend to stay with us. The guy from Toronto. Of course, this was at like the height of like when Toronto was like, you know, at its lockdown. Like, hey, Ontario is just fucked. Like, Doug Ford doesn't know what the fuck he's doing. This entire province is like on super mega restricted lockdown because of COVID-19. He invites a guy from Toronto to just come and stay with us, and he didn't fucking tell us. So I walk downstairs one day, I open the living room door, and I go in, and there's just a random dude who I've never seen before in my life, never fucking met, sleeping on a mattress on my floor. And I'm absolutely dumbfounded. I'm shocked. I am flabbergasted. My gasps are completely and truly flabbered. Like, I have no idea what the fuck is going on. So I'm just like, hello, who are you? And then of course I find out that it's this guy's boyfriend, and I'm like, okay, you know what? He's only gonna be here for a few days. It's fine, whatever. And I just left it. And then a few months later, it happens again. So we asked him like, hey, why the fuck didn't you let us know? How long is he staying? And he said, oh, he's only staying for 3 days. 3 days ended up being 7 days, so he fucking lied to us. But also, who the fuck just invites a random person to stay in your place without letting your other roommates know? Like, if you are living in a situation, okay, and you have this understanding where it's like, you know, there's 4 people. If we have friends over, we usually let people know. We say, hey, so-and-so, who is of this relation to us, like they are either a friend, they are a family member, they are coming by to our place, they may potentially be staying the night. You know, that's like how we go about doing things. No, there's nothing with this guy. He just fucking invites people over, doesn't let us know, so that I walk downstairs into my living room and find a random stranger sleeping on the floor on a mattress with all of his shit. Also, this guy like just used our laundry machine for like 4 days in a row. Like, I don't know what the fuck he was doing. I have no idea what his deal was. And then after he left a bunch of his shit here as well. So for like a month, there was just like a hamper full of dirty clothes and a separate pile of like assorted shit just lying on our floor in our living room. And, you know, I'm a nice guy. I realize that's a pejorative these days, but like, I like to think of myself as being like a polite, reasonable human being. That's what I mean when I say a nice guy. So, you know, I was kind of like, whatever, it'll be gone eventually at some point. And it took a fucking month, but in that time I strongly considered taking that shit and just throwing it out on the curb, because hey, this is like totally unacceptable. There were other times beyond this where we would go downstairs and find him just sleeping on the couch, and he would be down there for like, you know, all day. So I couldn't go down and play guitar, my partner couldn't go down and play bass, because this fucking guy was just sleeping on the couch. You know, I'm not talking about the guest, I'm talking about our roommate now. And like, it was just so frustrating because this is a shared space. So, you know, if you're gonna do that, just be like, hey, you know, I'm not sleeping in my room because of this reason. Like, he didn't say anything. He didn't communicate with us any fucking problems. It was the most frustrating, fucking annoying shit I've ever dealt with in my entire life. Like, I can't even express to you how angry this motherfucker made me. So beyond that, because right now I'm standing in what was his room, this is the other major point of contention, okay? That in here, because there's a shared wall on the other side of the camera here, he would just make so much fucking noise and keep our other roommate awake like all hours of the night, you know? He would just be like on the phone talking to people super loud. We'd have friends over at like 3 in the morning, and they would just be like either in here like talking super loud, possibly even fucking, like, you know, I don't really know what was going on. And then he would leave the door wide open, just blast fucking music, like so fucking loud, like at top volume. Always the most annoying, repetitive shit too. There was just like this one drum beat that he kept on loop, and it's like burned into my fucking brain. Like, I'll never fucking forget that because it was so goddamn annoying, and he played it so fucking often. I don't even know what the song was, but it was complete bullshit, just so irritating. He also left the door open while smoking this room out with incense, and we have pet rats in our other room. Rats, of course, being a small rodent, they have a very sensitive respiratory system, so even after we explained to him, hey, can you like keep the door closed, you know, when you're having incense like going in here because it affects the rats, he didn't give a fuck. He just kept it open, whatever. Didn't matter, didn't care. So beyond that, we also noticed that he like never ever locked the doors, ever. Like I don't understand how he thought this was okay, but he would like leave through the front door, which is like just out here, outside this hallway, and he would like just leave it wide open and then walk downstairs, go out through the front door, and then just leave, you know? And he'd close the front door because the front door does actually close, but our door here, it's, unless you lock it, it actually does stay open because the knob is fucked, or the locking system is fucked. So we got so confused by why he wasn't locking the door. I know his key worked because after I copied it, I tested it and made sure it worked myself. We actually took him outside. I took him, I was like, hey, come with me. I showed him outside how to lock the door. I actually took it, I put it in the deadbolt. I looked him in the eye and I said, hey, so you put it in here, you lock it this way. Sometimes you have to pull it and joust a little bit because it is a little bit finicky. And then you lock the doorknob itself, right? You lock the deadbolt, then you lock the doorknob. I showed him that. I looked him straight in the fucking eye. I watched him watch me show him how to lock this door. And yet, for the next 7 months after that, he just didn't fucking lock the door. Sometimes he remembered, but it was very, very rarely. More often than not, what we would hear is me and my partner would be in our bedroom and we'd hear him leave, shut the door, and then slam it like 4 or 5 times trying to get it to close instead of locking it. And it's like, why don't you just take your fucking key with you and lock it, you fucking asshole? I'm sorry, I'm getting actually like angry now just thinking about this. Beyond that, downstairs we also have a basement door that goes out into our backyard. And we come home sometimes and find that just like wide open, not even closed. And you know, that door doesn't have the same problem as our front door does. It does actually close when you close it, and he just wouldn't do it. He'd just leave the door wide fucking open. You know, and we actually had an incident where me and my partner were downstairs and a random dude off the street literally just walked in. Now, I'm not some kind of guy who's like immediately like, oh, this is like fucked up. This is like, I'm like scared for my life when some stranger walks into my home. But like, if you're living in a city and you go downstairs and there's a stranger in your house, there's like a few explanations as to why that stranger is there, right? And one of those explanations is that they are there to rob you. Now, I didn't immediately get that impression from this guy because he was drunk. He seemed like visibly drunk to me. Like he was slurring his speech. He was kind of stumbling around. So I think he was speaking French, and my French isn't really that great, even though I live in Montreal. I know. Fucking kill me, whatever. Fucking crucify me for that shit. But it sounded like he was looking for somebody, so I think he might have just gotten the wrong address and walked in. I know that the people who were living upstairs were getting rid of stuff. You know, maybe they were selling things or asking people from like a trading group to come by and take stuff, and maybe he got the address mixed up. But still, like this happened because our fucking shithead roommate didn't understand how to lock doors. You know, after I explained to him how to lock the front door, he started leaving through the basement door because he didn't want to fucking go through the 2-second hassle of locking your front door. Can you fucking believe that shit? It's actually fucking unreal. So, yeah, sometimes we would come downstairs, find our back door like just wide open. And you know, there's a lot of rats in this area too, so they like get into the house sometimes. Beyond that, he would also have like other friends over without telling us, without saying who this person is, not even introducing us, just like basically ignoring us the whole time. And there came a point where I just said, man, you gotta fucking leave. Like, you know, and again, being too nice, I've told this story to multiple people, and every single person has told me, Greg, you've been way too nice to this guy. I basically gave him until July 1st to move out, and we had told him in March. So we gave him like 4 months to move out, and he waited until the last fucking day. He waited until July 1st to move out. Even though we were like visibly uncomfortable with him, you know, it shouldn't have been too hard for him to understand that like we were not happy living with him, and yet he continued to stay here, possibly out of spite. So yeah, it was around March or April, somewhere around there. We told him to move out. We gave him 4 months, and he did eventually find a spot. We helped him move. I didn't want to rely on him finding a U-Haul because I was terrified that he would like find some fucking excuse to renege on his like agreement with me to move out on said date and try and justify some way to like continue staying here. So I was like, no, you know, I have a van, it's working. Thankfully, it has enough space. We did it in 3 trips. We fucking moved his ass out of here. It was fucking uncomfortable as hell. I hate this guy. He's actually like the worst roommate I've ever fucking had in my life, but he's gone now. And I'm so goddamn thankful for that. Like, I'm so happy that this motherfucker is out of my life. I wish I could, you know, tell you more intimate details, but like my battery on this camera is dying right now. And I really feel like I've covered pretty much the basic shit of like all the weird, awful things that he did. There is honestly so much more. Like, I could probably talk about this for hours, but I wanted to make this video to finally officially like get it off my chest. I literally don't care if he sees it. If he sees it, if you're watching this, go fuck yourself. You are the worst roommate I've ever fucking had in my life. I never ever want to see you or talk to you ever again. But beyond that, like, we decided to turn this room into an office, in a nice little office space. I have my computer in here. We're gonna eventually paint this room, make it look a little bit nice. I want to take one of the walls and make it look nice so that I can film in front of it for making videos like this, for making guitar covers and like other things like that, and just generally make it a kind of cooperative, creative space. That's really what I want to do with it. And you know what? You can shit on me for like kicking this guy out, but trust me, if you were living with him, you would do the same thing. Like, don't fucking shit on me for having the spare room now, because it was something that we honestly really needed. There are 3 people living in this house, a 3-bedroom apartment. I think that's fair. So that's all I gotta say on the matter. Sorry for coming across kind of bitchy or angry in this video, but after having gone through 9 months of torture with this man, I just really wanted to blow off some steam, drink a beer in a skull mug, and vent about this horrible situation that we were in. So thanks for listening. If you did, thank you for watching. I will hopefully be doing more of these now that we have this space here that I can actually film in and not bug anyone. So until next time, I'm Greg. This has been the Skull Mug. Peace out.